All right, so we are very excited to be joined by the new general manager of the Calgary Flames. It's Craig Conroy. He joins us now on the Thriday show. Yeah, we call this Thriday because sometimes we record on Thursdays or Fridays. It's the thing that I created that Sean doesn't think is very funny.
It's not good.
So welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Hailey. Sean, appreciate it.
So nothing much to catch up on. Really relaxed couple of weeks in the life. How are you doing? And congratulations and thanks for doing this.
Well, thank you. No, it's been a whirlwind. I think when the announcement came Tuesday, our amateur scouting meeting started Tuesday. And, Brad always mentioned that it's going to be, if you're ever in the big chair, Connie, it's going to be busy. And I don't think I quite knew exactly what that meant. That meant 435 messages in the first day. I was like, and I'm not even kidding about how many. I was like, my daughters were like, seriously, Dad? And I said, well, I'm trying to get back. I mean, all night I feel bad. I was getting back to him late, at midnight our time. So just keep texting people.
You felt bad? Like, oh my gosh. If I ever get 435 text messages, A, it's not going to be for anything good. And B, I'm not going to go out of my way to respond to them. That's crazy.
I made the rookie mistake of sending you a congratulations message within the first 24 hours of the news. I was like, that was so stupid. He got so many texts. There's no way. It's like, I'm getting big league by Craig Conroy.
Oh, and that's what I didn't want anyone to think that. And then, when you read one and you thought you responded, and then you're like, wait, I just read them. So now I know if it's got the blue thing, I just keep checking them off. Make sure I respond when I look. I've never had that. Usually it's like, and
you could do the copy and paste, like, hey, thanks, really appreciate it, bang. Hey, thanks, really appreciate it, bang.
No, if you get really sick of responding, just hold the text and do like the thumbs up.
There you go.
I know. Thanks. I wanted to, everyone was so nice. I've been trying to, and I always put the name back in, like, thank you.
Name here.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Good guy, Craig Conroy.
So I wanted to ask about the interview process. I mean, we're not gonna harp on this because I know you're certainly past that now. But how do you interview for a promotion in an organization that you've been with for as long as you've been with the Flames? Were there like specific things you wanted to get across, or because like you would on some level there's a comfort level because everyone there knows you and you know everybody, but also I'd imagine there's certain parts of your personality that you want to stress when you're interviewing for the big chair, right?
Yeah, for sure. The first thing I did a resume. I mean, I know my resume has most of the Calgary Flames and what I've done here, but I just wanted to make sure, they knew exactly everything that I've done, timelines.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of put like a mission/vision statement for the team together. So I kind of felt how I saw the team moving forward. And I just put all my thoughts together and just so I had it with me because, I think my wife says the one thing, Craig, sometimes you can get off topic. So if I just have a bullet point thing of what I believe the team should be, how we're going to get to the point of hopefully making the playoffs every year and winning the Stanley Cup. So that's how I kind of went about it. But, just like if I was going to go into to another team that didn't really know me that well.
Right.
I think it's interesting. I mean, because we know from Don Maloney's press conference, there were 35 candidates, multiple rounds of interviews, and it's almost very much like when you were a player, like you weren't handed anything in your career as a NHLer, right? Like you were drafted in the 6th round, end results playing over 1,000 games, and you represent your country. Does it almost make it a bit more, obviously it's meaningful getting a general manager job in this league, but it seems like you kind of did it the same way that you did as a player. Does that, make sense, make it more meaningful for you?
Yeah, I've never had anything given to me. When you're a 6th round pick, you're clawing and fighting and you play, 2 years plus in the minors and, you're just trying to get your foot in the door in the league. And then when you get your opportunity, that's what I always said. If I get my opportunity, I'm going to make the best of it. And I've tried to do that here. It was definitely, this process is a little different because I'm just a couple doors down from Don. And he was respectful and he shut the door. And, it's just a small office in here though. So I would shut my door when I'd hear, I could hear him doing the other interviews. I couldn't really hear what was but I knew he was doing them. And I thought, you know
Yeah.
what? I respect that. You know, they have to find Don's jobs to get the best person he felt for the job. And I totally understood that. And you know what? If he felt it wasn't me, you know, that's part of it, you know. So I
Mhm.
was expecting, hey, I didn't know. I was just going to try to do everything in my power, like I was as a player, put myself in and finally hopefully get the job. And when he told me, I mean, it was I almost he did it where he gave me a kind of his recommendation to ownership and the president, John Bean. And so I read the letter the first time and I was like, what? What? And I read it the second time, and then I read it a third, and I was like, and I looked up and he's like, you went to college, right? Like you're taking, I'm like, I had to read it a lot. I said, so he's like, I'm offering you the job. I'm like, so that's,
That's
yeah,
great.
it was a good feeling. It was real. We did it in the owner's suite, and it felt special. And you know, having the rink right there, just somewhere where I felt so comfortable. I've been in, you know, thousands of times. So it was
Mhm.
pretty special.
It's great. I mean, how is Craig Conroy, the front office person, and now the general manager, different from Craig Conroy, the player who played a lot of games, a lot of meaningful games in that market as well?
You know, I think obviously it's still going to be the same person. I mean, I think that's what I learned when I went into this position. Uh, the first few weeks, I wouldn't talk to the players. I would walk. I mean, literally, I went from that locker room a day ago, but I thought I'd have to be, you know, hard, mean. Jerome said, "Hey, he called me over. He's like, you need to be you. You can't be what these other guys are. You have to be your own person." He goes,
Right.
"Oh, you know what? You're right." So then I just started, you know, they're my buddies at the time. So we're just chit chatting and having fun. And, you know, and I know there's a separation. I have to, in the end, I'm going to make some hard decisions. It's not that I don't like these guys. I've been traded, you know, I've been put on waivers. I've been sitting in
Mhm.
the penalty, you know, the one thing about I feel like as a player, and because I was in the minors and I've been cut, you know, sent down and, you know, put on all those different situations. I know what these guys are going through. I mean, it's not easy, but I can relate. And I think when we talk, I can relate to pretty much every situation. I was never, you know, I wasn't like Steve Yzerman would have a different thing because he is a superstar. I mean, he's
Mhm.
one of the greatest players of all time. That was not me. That, you know, I was more meat and potatoes and, you know,
Right.
try to do whatever I could for the team. And maybe
Right.
a lot of times I was just a checker. When I got to Calgary, I got to be a little bit
Hmm.
more than that and get to play with Jerome and do all of that. So, but I think when I can relate to every guy on the team, maybe not the top guys so much, but you know, everybody else. And I think that, you know, that'll help me with this new job.
Mhm.
I mean, you mentioned it yourself. You responded to 500 text messages at the at the start of all this, but I think that speaks to something, honestly, about your reputation, you know, league wide, where you do have that rep as being a great conversationalist and not a good person and a nice guy.
Mhm.
How much of that, and I maybe not even necessarily in your dealings with the players, but in your dealings with other execs, other decision makers, is that does it feel like that might be something that that reputation wise that carries over, that people might underestimate you in some regard? Because I know Mark Bergevin talked about it specifically because he had that reputation as being a joker and a prankster, and he said when he got the
Mhm.
job in Montreal, like he's like, great, like you can if you look at me as the funny guy, that's awesome. And you know we'll kind of take it from there. Is that something that's crossed your mind at all?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you think everybody thinks, you know, and the same thing, I play with Bergie,
Yeah.
and exactly, but you know what? He's when it came on the ice, he's a competitor.
Hmm.
He's gonna
Mhm.
do whatever it takes to win. And I knew when he got the job in Montreal, you know, it's a great thing because people are gonna wanna gravitate towards him. They like him. It's easy to talk to him.
Hmm.
And I think he's gonna know what's going on in the league because you know what, when you call Bergie, probably it was probably the conversations were fun and you had a good time and you know, but in the end, he's going to do business. And the same thing, I hope, you know, a lot of the guys in the league I know, some I played with, you know, Bill Guerin and I were roommates at the Olympics. So
I was gonna
Drury
bring
and
up Billy G next. Yeah.
yeah, Billy G. I mean, he was the first one to reach out. He's on. I mean, so to have those relationships and to be able to, it's not just you know, hey, we're all I feel fortunate to be in the club of 32 people, and it's a special thing. But the way these guys have already made me feel, and the guys that I know, Rob Blake, I played with in LA.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you don't know them. Some guys I don't know, like I didn't play with them, but you played against Steve Yzerman, Pat Verbeek, what type of people they are. And, Kevin Adams, all these guys that really, it's an easy transition for me. And Billy Zito was great. Even, in a playoff game 4, I didn't think any call, and we have a relationship. And, I was like,
that's great.
Those Calgary Flame guys are doing well.
Yeah. Enjoy Sam Bennett over there.
Yeah. Sam Lomberg and
someone else,
like,
someone else
thanks.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Congrats,
so, I think having those relationships, but I know what you mean, but I think it's hey, in the end, we're gonna do business together and we're gonna be there. But it's it's just like being on the ice. You're gonna compete and you wanna do the best you can. But I think the relationships are good because then we can it's easy to talk to these guys and I enjoy talking to them.
We're big fans of Bill Guerin on this podcast. We talk about him often, specifically his the giant ice cream sundae that he ate after winning the cup. I don't know if you've ever seen that picture.
Oh my God! It's like he's eating out of like this huge. It's a half gallon of ice cream.
Bill Guerin with like a huge ice cream sundae after winning the cup. I think we bring it up on this show once a month, and all the listeners are going to hear this and be like, "Are you Hailey couldn't just be professional and interview Craig Conroy without bringing up the ice cream sundae?"
Well, the best part is Billy. Like when we were in the bubble, like Billy, obviously. He got the job. He's in the bubble. And I'm thinking, we spent every night. So Tree actually got to know Billy really well because I'm like, hey, Billy wants to meet again. He goes, you and this Billy, you love this guy. I'm like, hey, he's my roommate.
We got some history. Sorry.
And I think they have a really good relationship now. So, I'm saying I'm the one that brought them together. But it's if you meet Billy once, you're going to love him. I mean, he's just one of the best people. I would love to see what the guys say that work for him because I got to believe they would run through a wall for him. So, I think when I think of our staff and what we're doing here, I hope I can do whatever Billy's probably doing. I hope I can do it like him.
It's a pretty good template for a guy who, was playing not too long ago, who had that rep as being one of the good guys in the league with a lot of connections. And you see how he's transitioned. I mean, who better to learn from than him, right?
Yeah, it's great. And that's the one thing he said, it's going to be a lot. If you need help, Connie, I'm there for you. So, and I know he means that. He really does.
And I know, Bill obviously had a lot of experience with the Penguins, had to go to a different organization to get the big chair. So I'm glad to see that you were able to put in the 12 years in the Flames front office and become the Flames general manager versus doing that somewhere else. And I think it's great because we've had conversations before, Craig, about how you and Jerome used to talk about wanting to win in Calgary when you were players. What is it about Calgary in that market, that team specifically? Like, why do you want to win with the Flames? Like, where did that desire come from? And are you excited to have that opportunity to do this in this position now?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it starts with the fans, the city. They deserve it. They embrace this team. We've had some good years and bad years, and they get upset with us a little bit at times, but rightfully so. They want to win. They want to be proud and rally around this team. And being a Calgarian now I've been here almost 2 decades, so I want nothing more than them to have that fun. I was watching. As you watch the playoff games. And some of the highlights, and you're thinking, I want Calgary to have that again. Like the 04 run, we haven't had that long run. And I remember what it was like. It was, I can't even put in the words being down there after we beat Detroit in game 6 at home. I couldn't even hear, and how excited they were. And then to go to the finals. And unfortunately, we weren't able to win. We had 2 chances. And that's the low point of my career, probably those 2 games, because we weren't able to do it. But I want to bring that excitement back, and I want to give them a championship. That's really what it's all about.
Have you and
even
the
feeling
they really deserve it.
Even the feeling last year in the first round of the playoffs too was unbelievable. The OT winner from Johnny in Game 7. It's fun
Yeah, it's
stuff.
just, you know what, that's the regular season's one thing, but when you get to the playoffs and you're there and just the excitement, the atmosphere, it brings it up, 100 times more than it is during the regular season. So,
Yeah.
and just when you go the pride around the city with all the jerseys and everybody there and the sea of red, I just think back, I want to bring, you want them to be proud of you and you want to bring a winner to Calgary. That's really and a cup. I mean, that's really it. It's been too long.
I got to ask: is that a conversation that you and Jerome have maybe revisited in the last week or two, as far as winning together?
Well, Jerome and I always, that's what I said. We've always talked about doing something together. I know, Jerome's a busy guy, and he's got Rink Kelowna where his son Joe goes. He's committed to next year, but I would love to have Jerome at some point be with me, because it's kind of, I don't know if that's the dream, but for me it is. I mean, we would love to do something together at some point.
Remember, Jamie McLennan told me that the relationship between you and Jerome Iginla is like an old married couple.
We fight a lot. we, you know what? I mean, we fight each other. We but in the end, it's all about, we push each other. And even like that's where people said, "Oh, you guys get along." I mean, even when we were on the bench, he would be not happy with things I was doing. I was not happy with things he was doing during the game, but that's what made it work so well. And in the end, we just come together. But I knew if there was something on the ice that happened, he'd have my back, I would have his back, and we probably are like an old married couple for sure.
Like fighting over Scrabble in the locker room.
Oh, we battle over anything. If we said anything we compete at, we want to beat each other, and that's the best part, because we're so competitive. A video game, like you said, Scrabble, anything we do, it's always golf. He's just a better golfer than me, which makes me crazy. So I want to play ping pong or something else.
Yeah, no more golf. No more golf.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good.
Cycle that one out. Bowling. Who wants a bowl? Pickleball. Let's go. Go on.
Yeah.
I like that old married couple. I'm going to use that.
Yeah. It was. I think it was the story I did before he was inducted to the Hockey Hall of Fame. It's like getting all the stories. It was when we had our hour-long sit down about Jerome.
Yeah.
And I asked Jamie, and he was like, "They're like an old married couple." I was like, "Yeah, that checks out. Everything I've heard so far, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I like that."
That put it into that's a nice little bow tie. You wrapped it up into a package.
Yeah. So I mean, not to keep you for too long here, Craig, but because you've done so many interviews and you had the lengthy availability when you were introduced as GM, but one of the kind of big takeaways from that first availability, I think, is looking at this summer, because we know that there is a pretty lengthy to-do list. Some of the work has started. You've been in amateur scouting meetings. There's a coaching vacancy, and you said that you don't want to go into next season with 7 unrestricted free agents. So looking at the guys ahead who are UFAs in 2024, and how you kind of learned from last summer with Johnny going, with the Matthew situation. How do you think you're going to be able to apply some of the knowledge that you learned last year with the guys who are going to be UFAs in 2024?
Well, I think the first thing is really to find out where their mind's at. Do they want to be here and be a Calgary Flame? And if they do, the one thing about all 7 guys, I have good relationships. They're very honest. They're going to tell me the truth, and that's all I can ask them to do. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, I'll deal with that. The one thing I like all 7 guys, there's 7 really good players. And if for some reason they don't see a fit here, I just hope they're honest with me and let me know. And if they do want to be back, then I hope we can get to the table sooner than later and see if we can get them signed. That's the real key. It's going to be the communication, and that's what I've always talked about. Brad's done a great job. I think with Johnny, I do think he wasn't sure if he wanted to come back or, those are tough decisions. And it went to the end, and obviously, even probably 10 minutes before he told us, I thought we were going to get it done, and that was a heartbreaker, because I thought, my thing to him was, and we have the same agent, was I thought he was going to be the greatest Flames of all time with Jerome. I mean, maybe he wouldn't score more goals than Jerome, but he more assists, more points. Al McInnes has the most assists here. I think he would have passed that. Just the legacy to know he's going to be in the rafters. what the city meant to him and what
Mm-hmm.
he meant to the city. Like I really thought it was going to get done, but that was a good if anyone thought it was going to get done, it was me. And I think I even said it, which I learned a lesson. I might have said it during the year that, hey, we're going to get this thing done. It's a deal, I might have said. And then I said, well, I'll never say that again because I don't know. And it was a learning thing for me. And that's, even though I've been doing it at that point for 11 years, I read the situation wrong. I really did. And, and Johnny was one of the first people to text me, which was really nice because
that's nice.
That's good.
I would babysit his dog. We had a relationship like that, but I know in the end, this is a business, and there was a lesson learned, and I'll take that moving forward.
Do you feel like this offseason, I feel like from the outside, I look at the job that you have to do, and I feel like it feels like a balancing act between being proactive, but also not overreactive to what happened last season, because there's so many good pieces there, and you guys had so much stuff go as wrong as it possibly could last year on the ice. How do you balance that between, appreciating what you have there, staying the course, believing in the road that you've laid out for yourself, but also recognizing like, okay, there might be points where we can improve or weaknesses that we can, build on from last year heading into next?
Yeah, I mean, I do think the team, we underachieved last year. We know that all those 1-goal games, you look, we actually had more points in Florida and look where so not saying that would have happened for us. It wasn't a great year. And the bottom line is there are going to be some changes. And, we know that with those 7 UFAs, just with the cap situation, we're going to have to make a couple moves, not saying it's going to be those guys. There's going to have to be something because we need to make sure, if the cap only goes up the million that they say, we're going to be tight against the cap, but we have a very good team. Do I think if we can bring the same team back? Yeah, I believe it's a playoff team. I believe there was a playoff team last year. But with that said, I want to get some youth in the lineup. I'm not going to force youth in the lineup. They need to be ready. But when you have the best team in the American League at the end of the season, and unfortunately, we just got knocked out of the playoffs, there's some young players that are ready that have been in the minors 2-3 years. And, those are the things that coming into camp, I want to give him a chance because when you saw when Pelche was here this year, just the excitement that he brought.
Yeah.
Passion,
it really
is contagious. Yeah, it's great energy for the team. And I think if you can bring some of those guys in, they don't know losing's a bad thing. They're just so excited to be in kind of in the NHL that it's good for the room. I truly believe that. I always loved when young guys came to the room and brought that energy, because it made me feel young again. And now as I was getting older, I needed that.
It's funny because this is essentially, it's different because it's women's hockey, but with the Women's World Championships that just happened a couple months ago, the U.S. team, they got younger. They were like, you keep losing to Canada. Let's inject some youth into this lineup. And they won a gold medal. And a lot of the veterans on that team were saying like having their perspective and like their youthful energy and the fresh look on the game has been so much more fun to go to the rink with. Like the veterans can stabilize in the moment when you need that, but then the youth can like make it fun and exciting again, and worked out for the U.S. women's national team.
Well, it's funny. I'm part of the U.S. World Championship team right now, and that's one of the things. David Quinn, the coach, was saying, "Hey, let's get some youth in here. Let's have some fun." I coached the team last year. Let's bring in youth. So when we put the team together, Chris Clark's the GM, and as we were going through it, we said, "Hey, let's try." David said, "Let's get some younger guys in here. We'll get some speed. We'll have fun." And they're going to be hungry. They want to be over here. And
Coronado is in that is in that mix. Yeah.
Yeah, like you'd be able to, and obviously I had a little bit. It's nice to get Coronado in.
You put your thumb on the scale a little bit. Yeah.
but then to see how well the team's done over there, and really to get the reports and how close this team is and exciting it is, we'll see what happens. I mean, if both teams win, I'm Canadian and American. I got both passports, so if both teams win, it'll be obviously I hate to say it, but I'm Team USA.
There we go. Okay, I was waiting for it. I'm very happy down here in Pittsburgh, PA, to hear you say that, Craig. I was worried.
It's just exciting. It's just exciting that when you look at those young guys and I'm thinking, okay, it does make sense. I'm hoping kind of moving forward, that's going to be what helps our team too.
One of the other kind of nuggets to take away from some of these availabilities, Craig, is, the captaincy. You guys haven't had a captain in Calgary for the last couple of years. It looks like that's something that is going to be more of a priority this summer. I guess I'm curious, like, are you just like waiting for someone to take the C from you like Jerome did?
Well, every team I've ever played on, we've had a captain.
Yeah.
And I think you need that one person in the locker room that can go to the coaches, be that conduit where, okay, if the players have a problem, they can take it to one person, because they go in as a group. Sometimes people get defensive and it doesn't work. And I was telling a story the other day when we were in the bubble, they did a kind of a mural or picture of all the captains that were in the bubble. And I thought, imagine if we didn't have a captain, like it'd be weird. Like, I guess they would put one guy with the A on there, but
right.
You really do need that. It's a Canadian market. Someone's got to be the spokesperson for the team. And I know it's a lot of work. And you know what? You're in the media more than you're not, but then you still have the other guys that need to support them. We're going to have a leadership group, but I would love to see, we're going to have a captain of that leadership group.
The other kind of bit of outstanding business you have is you have to hire a head coach. So I'm just wondering what the timeline is there, and maybe what you're looking for in terms of the person you do end up hiring, like the skill set, the personality type. What kind of boxes are you looking to check?
I think I've been reaching out. First, you get permission from teams, and then going through that process, making phone calls, getting people. So I do have some meetings scheduled for next week. So we'll start the interview process next week. So which will be nice. I think I'm looking for someone that is a good communicator, someone that can motivate. He's a motivational guy and really inspire the team. I want him to be able to, want the team to have fun. I want to be a team that enjoys coming to the rink, but I also believe that there needs to be accountability. Like, players want to be held accountable. I wanted to know what I'm doing right, wrong. So I want that to be part of, my head coach. Obviously, I'd like to be a little bit more freewheeling offensively, but on the defensive side, I want structure. I just want structure, because when I play defense, I want to know where everybody is all the time. But when you get over that red line, the players nowadays are so creative and they're so much fun that you gotta kind of just let them do what they do best. And hey, they might make mistakes and turn pucks over. And I've always said, if you turn pucks over, you back check. It's not that difficult. You just work hard to get back. And that's what I'm hoping for the coach. And obviously, as you work through the process, it'll get fine-tuned what I kind of would like to see and what the coach's vision is for the team. And hopefully we come together, but we're going to be, I'm not going to be the boss over him. We're going to be a partner. We're going to, with the players, coaching staff, we win and lose together. And that's what I want to bring to the team.
In terms of the defensive part of that, Mackenzie Wiegers looked, as the Canadian, I'm just going to mention, Mackenzie Wiegers looked very good for Team Canada. So seems like you've got some guys who can play that style and do it well.
Mackenzie really, the second half of the year was excellent. And then to go over there, and he's been, you watch the games, he's done a great job. It's been fun to watch him for sure.
All right. So I guess the last question for you, Craig, because we did, Pete's going to be so mad at me. Took you more, just kidding. Pete's great. He won't be angry. What makes you the most optimistic about this kind of new era for the Calgary Flames? With yourself as the GM, you've got Dave Nonis as the Senior VP of Hockey Operations, Chris Snow and Brad Pascal get new appointments and extensions with the organization. You'll have a new coach. There'll be some changes. Like, what makes you optimistic about this next kind of time here with the Flames?
I think the one thing is we still have a great group of guys here. And I think that not every one of them is upset with how things went last year. So, when you go home in that summer, you're just thinking, okay, when you're training, when it's getting tired, you're like, you know what, I'm going to push myself through this. So just on that front alone, I think for them coming back with the attitude, say, hey, you know what, I'm going to be better. That gives me optimism. And then I think if we can just put those other little things in place, with a new head coach, a different kind of voice in that room, I think is going to be a big help too. So all those things together, along with maybe adding a few young pieces, is what I'm excited about moving forward.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this. We appreciate your time and good luck with the off season in your first year as GM.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. It's good seeing you again.